check.
Okay, we should be good.
Looks like there's a seat by
Yeah, it's still coming. I like wearing my jacket, the last couple days.
I don't have games right now.
It would be good the next week if
Once basketball starts, I won't be there.
overall really good. Thanks. Well, I broke my blood vessels. Oh, thanks. I saw the pic. Somebody could have texted me like, "Hey, you're on the big screen." We're smart. Yeah,
really
that was a rough one. That was rough.
No, I have this one.
I think I had just texted Sherry. I need to go to bed. Yeah, this hit me hard. Like I'm just now starting to feel better. It's been a week. How's it going?
Everybody knows.
How are you?
We're supposed to do it.
All right, I have 6 o'clock. We're going to call this meeting to order. Jessica, roll call.
Flint.
Here.
Mullen.
Here.
Overberg.
Here.
Williamson.
Here.
Hampton.
Here.
Maher.
Here.
Husinga. Here.
Any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda.
Motion to approve agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Flint.
Yes.
Mullen.
Yes.
Overberg.
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Hampton.
Yes.
Maher.
Yes.
Husinga. Yes.
All right, first up, we have our student spotlight, in which we're joined by some 5th graders.
All right, guys, thank you. I'm Amanda Clark. I'm one of the 5th grade teachers. I'm Miss Krieger. I'm also another 5th grade teacher.
Hi, my name is Maggie. Hi, my name is Avery. Hi, my name is Jack. Hi, my name is Anna. Hi, my name is Charlotte. Hi, my name is Bristol. Hi, my name is Emery. Hi, my name is Kinley. Hi, my name is Phoebe. Hi, my name is Jada. Hi, my name is Lily. Hi, my name is Adrian. Hi, my name is Gavin. Hi, my name is Charlotte. Hi, my name is Pete.
Hi, and I am Miss Huckabone. I am the physical education teacher at Van Allen in kindergarten.
All right, we have our presentation. Mr. Henderson? If they don't have it, they're going to get even more nervous.
Right here.
Okay.
All right, so we brought some of our 5th grade ambassadors from Van Allen. Can we go to the next slide, please? Our 5th graders are stepping into leadership roles at school. Since they're the oldest kids in the elementary. And through their leadership roles, they are showing their Panther pride, they're modeling for the younger students, and helping make a school positive and memorable for everyone. The opportunities that they have are empowering our students to use their voice, creativity, and responsibility. And our 5th graders are leading the way as Panther Pride student ambassadors.
This is the way that we got on to the homecoming committee. Each 5th grade class from Van Allen and Salem got to vote on who they wanted to represent their class. There were many different ways they voted. The next thing we did was decide the dress-up days with Salem. Monday was PJ Day, Tuesday was Twin Day, Wednesday was Jersey or Sports Day, Thursday was Grade Color Day, Friday was Spirit Day. Then we did the posters. Any 5th grader could do it if they wanted to. There was like 10 or 20 people in Miss Clark's class doing it. These are some of our homecoming committee. This side, we have the Van Allen people on homecoming committee. On this side here is one of our homecoming representatives from Salem. Here are some examples of the students at Van Allen making posters to hang up in the hallways. These are all the dress-up days that we did, but some of them are missing because we didn't have all the photos.
This is morning announcements. First, we go to the office around 8:15 or earlier, and at 8:25, after the bell, we read our scripts we made the day before. We talk about things happening in the week or day. We talk about the lunch, what day it is in our rotations, what needs to be changed around the school, the pledge, and say have a great day. Lastly, we read a short and meaningful script.
Here is a picture that we're showing, which is, here is Jack doing a script from the day before on announcements. And then here's Charlotte saying the announcements in the telephone. This is my example of morning announcements. Hey there, Van Allen, this is Charlotte Spence. Today is, and then I would say what day it is, 2025, and for lunch we are having, and then I'd say what we're having for lunch, and then I'd give them what we're showing this month, which is integrity, and then I'd say like something. Unfortunately, there are lots of recess supplies laying outside, and some use our playground after school, and some don't respect us and take supplies home, so please pick the supplies up. Please stand for the pledge. And then I'd wait for a little bit, and then I would say the pledge. Okay, this is what we do for the ticket takers. First, we go to the office and we get notes from the board. Then we bring them to the classes of the teacher on the note. The notes tell the students what to do after school. For example, Allie is car line today, or Liam is bus today. We currently have 18 wellness ambassadors who work for Miss Huckabee. Our purpose is to promote healthy life choices centered around exercise and nutrition. Throughout the year, we are taking leadership roles with Mighty Miler, our wellness days, and the K through 4 field days.
On Wellness Day, grades 3 through 5th get to go to Central Campus. There they do activities that help improve cardiovascular health.
Our wellness committee members are the ones that get to help choose the games we play. We are looking at having our Wellness Day in February this year to coincide with American Heart Month.
Wellness ambassadors help little kids grow to be strong. On field day, we get to help Mrs. Huckabee run the different stations that showcase what the K through 4 students have learned throughout the school year in PE.
Mighty Miler is a morning activity to increase cardiovascular health. 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders all have the opportunity to participate.
We have QR code bracelets to scan on an iPad or phone that keeps track of our miles. As wellness ambassadors, we get to help scan and direct the 4th and 3rd graders go to where they need to go. Thank you for allowing us to share some of the things that as 5th graders we are getting to do this year.
Thank you so much.
Nice job, guys. Nice job.
Next up on the agenda, we have the public hearing for the estimated costs, specifications, and form of contract for the PEO Memorial Building demolition.
Okay, and our architect, Thomas McInerney, is here to take us through the project.
Testing. Well, that was a hard act to follow. I'll try to do just as well. This project is these are the drawings for the PEO Memorial Building demolition project. It's located at the old university's campus there that recently was purchased. The scope of work includes the demolishing of the PEO Memorial Building, includes a soft stripping of interiors, removal of electrical and mechanical systems, decommissioning of the geothermal system to be placed on standby for future use, because there is a potential for future use of the existing wells which exist in the south portion of the lot there. It is a top-down mechanical demolition of the reinforced concrete frame, the limestone elements and load-bearing columns, basement and foundation removal, and site restoration. The scope of work does include a removal of the cornerstone. If we go to the last page of the architectural section, right here, there you go. And so that right there, we have in the scope of work that includes the removal of the cornerstone and possibly discover a time capsule. It is probably 70% chance that one does exist in there. I guess that's, but I guess the building itself is 2 stories. It has many elements that make it difficult to modify. It's already starting to have signs of decay from the cornice on top there, which is a limestone element. They're actually crumbling off, and becomes definitely a danger. The building itself has had trouble in continuing any type of consistent use. It was donated to the university as about as old as I am. So it's been a while, and actually it's kind of lost its purpose in many ways. It does have an interesting look, but it's not uncommon for that period of time. It was built in 1927. Other than that, that's all I have.
Thomas, one of the things, estimated cost of the
Oh, yes.
project is part of it.
The estimated cost is to be $371,000. This includes the site restoration.
And we have our scheduled contractor walkthrough.
Yeah, we have a scheduled contractor walkthrough this Thursday at 2 o'clock, and they'll get we'll have them walking through to kind of look at the area and also inside the building. It's important that they get a good look at that. If necessary, we may schedule another one, but we'll do that through an addendum if necessary. The building itself, it's scheduled to be complete a demolition and site restored by December 15th. So we're trying to do this before the winter hits.
And then I think the other thing I would mention is that the sealed competitive bids are due on the 27th.
On the 27th, 2 weeks.
Yeah, 27th of October at 2 o'clock. And so we'll have that opening, and then we can bring the results of that bid to the special session that we will have that evening on October 27th.
Is there any grant funding or anything for demolition of buildings like this?
Sorry?
Grant funding through the state?
No, there isn't, no.
So Josh, I did call the the offices of the state of Iowa that handled the grant funding for the old gym, the Iowa Westland old gym. I spoke directly with the individual who was in charge of that, and I asked that very question: is there grant funding for this project? And she said no.
As a refresher, can we go over what the district is spending in utilities every month and what the bill was to clean up that sewer mishap, I guess you could say, months ago?
So for electricity and other utilities, over the last year, the total was $13,500 in utilities for that specific building. We recently had to have a cleanup of the building. We had a conditioned air, one of the air conditioning units, which we had to run so that it didn't, during the summer, so that it wouldn't get moldy in there. We had a condenser line drain back up, and so we had water on that third floor that we had to take care of. And then we also had a sewer line back up during that same time when we got sewage in the basement of the building. And so we had LJ Roth come and take care of that. If I remember correctly, Aaron, it was just over $8,000 for that thing.
And I should add that the existing heat pumps that are operating the cooling and heating for the building are at their end of their useful life. They were installed around 2011. That doesn't seem that long ago. However, for heat pumps, you can expect having problems beginning about this time.
And it's my understanding that
Yep,
the local PEO chapter presidents and former international president, they've all been through the building and they've been able to keep what they want, either that would go to Des Moines to the international offices or would be kept here, say in Old Main, so they've had that opportunity.
You can't hear back there.
I was just asking if I understand that our local chapter presidents and our former international president have had an opportunity to go through the building, and that our building maintenance people who work with them, they've been able to take plaques or different things that they would want to keep, either to take to Des Moines to the international PEO or to use here in the Old Main. They've had that opportunity.
We work very closely with our local PEO chapters, who then relayed any information to the international in Des Moines. We walked through the building a number of times with them, around the building as well, and actually worked with them. I would say Thomas, he spent additional time developing a plan of action for taking the inscription stone off the. So Thomas did all of that, to try and allow for that to happen. There were just some things that were cost prohibitive for PEO. However, we did go through. They got plaques. They took medallions. The lampposts at the front of the building was something that they wanted to keep. So anything of historical value that the PEO wanted to keep, they were given an opportunity to do that, yes.
In general, there were not as many salvageable items that you would think, because it's been reused and adapted in several ways over the decades since it's been decommissioned as a PEO building facility. There are a few things, but they're more like things that can't be removed, and so they understood that you can't just take a dome apart and transfer it to another location. It's impractical. The columns outside in front, I guess they show there. I mean, I don't know if I can zoom in, but they're solid limestone. They're Indiana limestone, and to try to salvage them intact would be about the cost of getting them delivered from the same quarry in Indiana. So that Indiana limestone quarry is still in operation. It's well known throughout the United States. It's been a main source of limestone, high quality, very consistent. However, if it is still an option to contact whoever wins the winning bid for the demolition, and demolition people who ever done demolition, one thing you would love to do is sell anything that can reduce your tipping fees at the landfill. So there is an incentive for them to say, hey, if you want it, we'll be as careful as we can for a price, but we still have an aggressive schedule. So these things may or not be reused. They're quite heavy. They're in 3 sections. They're about 3 tons each. And so there is a significant amount of weight. It's just not something you can throw in the back of your pickup truck, at least not mine. So that's one aspect. They are showing some sign of aging and wear, but still they are solid. So there may be somebody taking it on, but it is inheriting a large commitment, because to use any of these elements, it's going to be a considerable amount of effort to actually adapt them in any way possible other than just laying them on the ground. So that's why it's a little more of a challenge to try to take something that's what you see there and relocate it, because there is an incredible cost consequence in making something happen like that. So that's where you're dealing with, well, what do we do with this liability? How do we handle it? And I think the appropriate decision is to address the burden that it's becoming as a financial liability for the district.
John, are you able to somewhat quickly summarize when the purchase was happening, the decision or the attempt to try not to include those buildings, or making it known which buildings the district had uses for and what the USDA said in return?
Yes. So when we were considering the purchase of what I'm calling Central Campus, the board at that time saw some immediate uses that would meet needs of the district right away. And one of those areas is the activity center, the gymnasium and activity center, and the chapel area, the performing arts area in the chapel. We never did. There was never a consideration for a use of the PEO Memorial Building as the mortgage holder. The USDA did not want to. They did not give us an option to carve out the PEO Memorial Building, but included it in that Central Campus purchase. So we knew that. We knew that going in. And we felt like at the purchase price of $1.1 million for Central Campus, because it could meet immediate needs that we have as a district, the board decided to go ahead and make that purchase. Some other information, Aaron, was that to build an activity center as that one sits, to build that, and to build a performing arts center like the chapel was $40 million. That's as per Carl Nelson Construction Company's estimates that they gave us. And we felt like purchasing that area for $1.1 million using our sales tax dollars was, that board felt like that was the right approach to take.
And I understand Preservation Station in Burlington has been contacted so they can come.
Yep.
There are some artifacts that could be saved and reused somewhere.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Melinda. I did speak with Dennis Wilson last week from Preservation Station in Burlington. They are interested in anything else that can be preserved from the building, be it doorknobs or doors or any items like that that they could then remove and sell. The proceeds would go to other historical preservation. So what we did in speaking with our Director of Buildings and Grounds, Chad Vanghouse, I talked to him about the contractors who bid on a job like this. Are they going to consider what they might be able to get for selling the doorknobs and the doors and other items like that? And Chad said they won't take that into consideration. It's not worth their time on this project. And so, offering those items to the preservation station really was a win in two ways. It was a way, again, for them to fund other historical preservation, and it was a way to keep those items out of the landfill as well.
When do they, I'm just curious, when do they come in? Does the
Yeah,
asbestos
so
have to be removed first?
So I don't have an answer to that, because I spoke with Chad late last week and connected Chad and Dennis Wilson from Preservation Station, and I don't have an update to give you on that connection. So,
Couple questions. The geothermal, that's not tied to any other building?
Fortunately, no.
So it's all
We looked
single-
into that. We found the original designers and they provide us the documents. So we were very fortunate for them to offer that information, because there was a concern that somehow they may be tied, but we reviewed the documents. It's the south lawn only supports the PEO building as it is now. It gives I don't have the totals of potential cooling, but it has that ability to supplement in the future if we need to.
And are those vertical or horizontal?
Those are vertical wells, so they go down approximately 400 feet. So it's unknown how many of them, unfortunately. So, oh wait a minute, I guess I take that back. I believe there's 16. Yeah.
Okay. And then no other utilities, fiber optics or anything?
There is 2 fiber optic lines that are going to be rerouted to the Hall building.
Yeah, to
But
the
it's not,
activity center.
it will not, it's not a hub, does not need to be a hub, no encapsulation.
No, it's not an issue there. When it comes to salvaging any items, and I personally have done it myself as a volunteer, we look for things that are detachable and reasonably take some effort to, it doesn't take much effort to take down, because otherwise you have to be a skilled mason with this type of building to use anything that you would see that would be interesting and would take time, considerable amount of time. That would be, so the items that we're looking at, or doors would be a possibility, but quite frankly, what's left of the doors now have limited value even for historic preservation. The hinges, and then looking at the items that are there, they're of limited market value in the business of resalvaging, because in the 1920s they weren't very ornate. They were it started to modernize in many ways, so there's not that much of a demand for that. If it was some Victorian type items, you would see a different type of attitude. But in this particular case, there's light fixtures here that might be interesting. There's some sconces, so those things would be removed, and then I'm sure the contractor would more than likely be like, as long as you're in there within one day, you're out, that's good, because that's all you would need to take some of those items. Otherwise, I should emphasize, most of the interior has been remodeled significantly by the university. There isn't very much left. So that's probably one of the main reasons why there's not much to pick from. So I just want to keep that in mind. It's been used and reused in different ways, and so that's another reason why it's lost its historical significance.
Any other board questions? Any public questions in reference to the hearing?
Hi, I'm Tom Hinton. I've been involved in construction around Mount Pleasant for 50 years, retired now. I've been involved in several rehabilitation projects for buildings around town. I know that the community has always been real fond of their old buildings. I was involved pretty heavily in the remodeling of the old high school and the civic center. And that turned out pretty nice. I was involved in the rehabilitation of Union Block. And believe me, if there was ever a building that should have been torn down, that was it. And now it's turned out pretty decent. As far as accessibility, there's many buildings like the Union Block, the old high school, First Methodist Church that were inaccessible by today's standards, and they put in elevators in those buildings, including the courthouse. I just really think it would be possible to remodel that building into perhaps facilities for administration, since you're currently spending a large amount of money on rent. If you had your own building, maybe that would save a little cash flow. I agree that mechanical systems probably need to be replaced. Most of those only last 20 years. So those are ongoing expenses for whatever building we have. So that's my personal opinion. I'm not really attached to the PDO in any way. I think this is a unique building in Mount Pleasant. There's no other building that looks quite like it. Like you said, it's been remodeled 5 times. I don't see why it couldn't be redone again. Thank you.
John, do you want to speak to our initial estimates of the roof, the degradation of that, and how much it would cost to fix that?
So Thomas mentioned masonry and the importance of a skilled mason on some of the decorative cornices. Our director of buildings and grounds, Chad Minghouse, is a mason. Is formerly a mason. His estimate to do the cornice around the top appropriately was $500,000.
This is typical when it comes to masonry. They do look impressive if they're kept and preserved correctly. Otherwise, they become a big liability. And that's one of the problems, that this building has been ignored in many key features. The use of the type of way they actually roofed the building itself, and it has caused trapped water to get into the wall system, and it's caused degrading of the cornice and the parapet. To actually do a restoration of this project would be I believe it would be an undue burden for the district, because unless this had a real significant historical significance, it really is just unfortunately, it has become a stage set, because it's only it's a building built for a memorial, where the actual formation of the group of the philanthropic education organization, PEO, was actually formed in another building. So there is no real historic connection to this building, other than it was a library at one time for the organization, but then they gave it and donated to the university. So it does have some interesting features. I don't deny that. But the thing that when you look at it from a historical significance to the building, there's a reason why it's not listed as a property of historic preservation in this particular case. It's not an unusual building style of that era, and it's actually not a building presentation that historically would give you any significance of saying that's a unique feature of that style. This is pretty much like, it's more of a cookie cutter type at that time for that period.
Thomas, I know it's hard to know specifics, but do you have any ballpark on what you would put on a price tag for complete remodel of that building for use today?
Yeah, that is a challenging question, but to look at it from what would be, like the gentleman said, that an elevator could be added, well, that in itself would be an expense that would be on at least, first of all, where would you put it, of course, but that would at least be around a $300,000 item that would be an addition to the building in some way possible. There is another way of using just embedding it inside the building, but then you would lose square footage. So to do a renovation like this, I would not be surprised if it was around at least $1.5 million to $2 million to do a renovation that would preserve this for the next 50 years.
Are there any other questions for Thomas?
Hi, good evening. My name is Scott. I was involved in the school board and service.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you. Can you come use the microphone? Yes.
Okay, there we go. Now everybody can hear me. Okay, so I'm here tonight to ask you to consider an alternative to demolishing the historic PEO building. So I'm a software engineer previously at Collins Aerospace, and now I'm focused on my digitization business, and I've been looking for the ideal location for my business. So I live in Cedar Rapids, but I've actually been to inside the PEO building because when Iowa Wesleyan closed, I actually got a good proportion of their film and video tape archive. And I believe that the layout of the building would be pretty much ideal for what I want to do unmodified. With downtown Mount Pleasant exploring an application to the National Register of Historic Places, adaptive reuse of this historic building just blocks away would complement the efforts happening downtown and provide a positive outcome for this treasured building. My affiliation with the nonprofit Save CR Heritage offers expertise and experience with restoring historic buildings and knowledge about the programs available to fund such projects. Adaptive reuse of the PEO building would, of course, save the school district the $371,000 mentioned, and free, the school district free up the money for other priorities, and reflect positively on the district's commitment to the environment and future generations of students by setting an example of sustainable use of our resources. And it would not only benefit the school district, but also the entire community. I'm asking you, if needed, just maybe if you could table the discussion for a short amount of time regarding the demolition of the building to allow for further discussion with your staff. Yeah, thank you so much for your consideration. And if you would like, I would be happy to pass along my contact information after the meeting for further discussion.
Anybody else? Mike, you're on citizen comments. If you
That's
have,
what I'm asking. That's not right now, right?
it's after this.
That's
Yep.
one of the
I'm curious if this is a done deal, is one. Two is, what's your plans for it after it's gone?
This public hearing is to approve the project to go out for bids. When bids come back in, then the board also has to approve a bid to keep moving forward. So tonight's public hearing and vote in new business is to keep the process moving forward with getting bids for demolition, not to, we will accept, the hearing for accepting bids would be at the end of October, on the 27th. No, we currently don't have any other plans for that area at this time. It goes along with our facilities planning on what the future looks like. All right, thank you, Thomas. That concludes our public hearing. And we'll be moving on to citizen comments. So Lee and Mike, whichever one would like to go first, Lee. Mike.
Thank you. Hey guys, I'm Mike Keaton. I know most of you. I am the president of the board of directors of the Bell Center, the other library that was acquired in the liquidation of Iowa Westland. I'm here tonight to really reflect a little bit of what a gentleman here said, just ask you guys to consider delaying this process a little bit. I'm a fundraiser. My job is to raise money. And what I know more than anything else is unless you go out and make an ask of somebody, they're never going to open up their checkbook. And right now, you guys have discussed other possibilities for this building. You've had lots of discussions about it, very openly, very transparently, which, by the way, thank you. This is hard. And you guys are making the hard decisions, and I admire you for that. I'm not envious of you at all in this process right now. But what I am saying is that if you don't go out into the public and put out a request for ideas, and request for a proposal even, or a request for purchase, you're not going to have an opportunity to change that building to something else aside from demolition. And there's a room full of people here tonight that don't want to see that building get taken down, but don't know what to do about that. So that's my request for you. You've been talking about it. You've had these conversations, and they're real good conversations, and it is your fiduciary responsibility to take that thing down, no doubt, if you own it. I'm asking you to consider selling it and carving it out the way that you had hoped before you purchased a building that you were not given the choice to do. I'm asking you to put a contract out there for purchase that has stipulations to make sure that whoever buys that and renovates it does it in a way that meets what you want as your neighbor. So it can't be used in a way that is inappropriate. Because despite what a gentleman said here tonight, that is a historical building. I worked in that building. I know every inch of that building. It was built by the PEO as a library for Iowa Wesleyan, not as a PEO memorial. That's what the start was, but it was built as a library to start. And it is part of our history in Mount Pleasant, just as Old Main is, and just as the Pioneer Hall is. And if you're discussing fiduciary responsibility about this building, we all know what that means when it comes to the other two, because you have a fiduciary responsibility to take care of the education system here and to use your money for education, not for historical preservation. So I would ask you to consider that first. Get those buildings sold, get them off your docket first. And if no one comes forward after 3 months or 6 months of that, and nobody comes forward with an option, blow them up, because no one came forward. But we need to be given the opportunity to do that. That is beyond just, hey, we're open to ideas. We need an RFP with a deadline to get people in the door, because I represent an organization that did that. We put the money into rebuilding a building that had been neglected for 2 decades, and it's working. So there are people out there that can do that. There's people out there willing to do that. And there's a room full of people I know in here right now that are willing to fundraise to keep that building open because they do see the historical significance of it, and they do think it's a big part of our community. So just want to share that with you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I need a podium because I need notes. Is that okay?
Yep, you can go there.
Well, bear with me, please, because a lot of you out there know that I am not a speaker. In fact, my senior year in high school, I took trigonometry in order to get out of speech. First of all, I know there's a lot of you in this room that probably will not agree with me, but I actually commend you for purchasing the Iowa Wesleyan campus. I think we needed it for the chapel space for performances, we needed it for gym space, we needed it for office space. So I commend you for the purchase. I think it was a great deal. But the PEO Sisterhood was founded in 1869 here at Iowa Wesleyan University. And the PEOs raised the money for this PEO library as a memorial to the 7 founders of the PEO in 1925. Mrs. Mary Ann Stafford, the only surviving founder, was a participant with the groundbreaking in 1927. This building has stood all these years as a memorial to the work of funding women's education. In late May, there was an article in the Hawkeye that the PEO library building was to be demolished. Very soon after, John told the Union paper that that wasn't true. Yet 5 months later, contracts for demolition are being looked at. As a member of both PEO and the Mount Pleasant Historic Preservation Commission, I'm always concerned when we lose historic buildings. Recently, I heard that you would donate the building to an organization that could use it and preserve it. I'm sure that could happen here in Mount Pleasant. Most of you are far too young to remember the Joni Mitchell song, Big Yellow Taxi, in 1970. In that song, she sings the line, "They paved paradise and put up a parking lot." She was highlighting the theme, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. Please think about this. And my last question to you is Pioneer Hall next? Thank you.
All right, moving on to approval of minutes, claims, and financials.
Okay, so you have the financial report in your packet. On Friday, the Finance Committee reviewed all of the expenditures from September, and so Jessica is going to go through the balances at the end of September.
Yep. Okay, so these are all our funds listed right here. And then we have the balances from September of 2024 and the balances of September 2025. Our general fund had a decrease of 1.5 million. And the CAR report, which is the annual chart of accounts report, was just due in September 15th actually. So all of these have been updated and they are accurate. And we will be discussing that at length further on in the meeting as to why the decline or increase in some of these fund balances. But right now for the financial has also seen an increase of $233,692. Our PEPL fund and our capital project funds, these two funds can work for the same purposes. Capital projects is our local option sales tax, or as many refer to it as the penny tax. The PEPL is made up of regular and property tax. PEPL, this time last year, 2.1 million. It stayed steady. It's $2,171,000 right now, which is a $52,000 increase. Capital projects, it was $4 million. Now it's 2.3. It's a 1.6 million decrease year over year. However, this is what we use to pay for the maintenance, transportation and central receiving site on East Monroe. That was all paid for cash. There was no bonding. Debt service, this is what we use to pay for our computer lease. That was a $7,000 increase. And the nutrition, $842,000 the prior year, $700,000 this current year, a $141,000 decrease, however. As you heard me say month after month, I kind of sound like a broken record. We need to spend this down. We are only supposed to carry a 3-month operating balance in nutrition, and it costs us about $80,000 per month to operate our nutrition fund. So we really should only have about $250,000 in there. I have been working with our food service director, Tisha Horn, and she does have a lot of ideas continually. She purchased some equipment over the summer, and then she has some ideas through the rest of the school year to promote students eating breakfast and lunch here at school. So, does anyone have any questions on this? Anybody? No? Okay.
Is there a motion to approve minutes, claims, and financials?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Lynch,
Yes?
Mullins,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinga.
Yes.
All right, moving on to reports. First is our instructional report. Mr. Stone?
Okay, I'm just going to take a few minutes here to share out kind of some of the things we've got going out here at the high school. Mr. Henderson asked me to just present on how things are going so far. So, in my first year as the head principal here at the high school, we hired a new associate principal, which is my previous role. And so that transition has been, I think, fantastic. Both of us are learning each other and working with each other in that office, and things are, I think, off to a great start. It's crazy to believe we're just 2 weeks out from Q1 ending. So there's a lot of things going on out here all the time, and time just goes really fast. It seems like each year goes quicker and quicker. So one of the things, the biggest change coming into this school year that I thought I would share with you is the cell phone policy out here at the high school. For those of you that don't know, in years past at the high school, kids had the opportunity to have their cell phones basically all day long. Cell phones, AirPods, smartwatches, all that stuff. You'd walk in the building since I've been here, the last 3 years previous, that's what you'd see in the hallways, lots and lots. And so the building looks tremendously different this year. So there's a previous policy right here. It's essentially in the classrooms, it was up to the teachers. And I heard time and time again from teachers, we just need a consistent policy. So the timing of it worked out great. The state came out with something. So it's easy for us to jump on that and say, we're just going cell phone free or personal electronic devices free, 8:15 to 3:15 in high school. So that's just what it is now, 8:15 to 3:15. There's no electronics, no AirPods, no cell phones, no smartwatches. The building looks tremendously different. So what I asked teachers and students to do is just give me a little blurb about what that looks like or how they feel about that policy here at the high school. And so the next several slides, Mr. Henderson, you can kind of slowly scroll through them. The first several are teacher feedback, and overwhelmingly across our entire staff, they're loving the new policy here at the high school.
Oh, maybe read a bit.
Sure. If you scroll through, I can just, overall what that they shared with us is just that the interactions within classroom, kids are talking to each other. The hallways are much louder in a good way. The lunchroom is much louder in a good way. Teachers and kids, I would say both, feel like the conversations and the engagement in class is just much better because they don't have that distraction in class anymore. And so overall, that's what the teachers have said. Here's some of the students. It was really interesting. I put it out to the kids and asked them to share some things, and I email after email after email, which surprised me because I think a lot of kids initially thought, boy, this is not cool at all. We're not interested in this whatsoever. But I think more kids than what would admit it have seen it as a really positive thing. So you see things up here like it's more fun. We're talking to each other. We're socializing more. I enjoy school a lot more. It's just fantastic to hear that. I don't know what it's been. 3 weeks ago, we had our pep assembly for homecoming. Since I've been here, it's probably been the best pep assembly we've had, and we didn't do anything super different. But the feedback I've heard from kids and staff is just that kids didn't have their cell phones up there in the bleachers, distracting them from what was going on down on the gym floor. And the kids they had a blast with it. They had a blast with it, and a lot of it due to the cell phone, they think. If you go back one, Mr. H, real quick. Just like this, the cell phone ban was not fun at first, but since I've started it, I've come to appreciate it. While my friends spend less time on our phone, with more time having positive interaction with each other. Another comment I heard, it's not up here, it's just that the kids, they don't feel like they're missing out, because it's a statewide thing. And so if I don't have my cell phone, it's not like I can't communicate with my other friends from other schools, because they don't have their cell phones either. So like I said, I think overwhelmingly it's been a positive thing. Like I said, the kids are interacting, lunchroom looks different, hallways look different. I go into classrooms for walkthroughs. You just don't see kids sitting there on cell phones. You don't see kids with AirPods in and trying to listen to the teacher at the same time. So it's just been really fantastic, I think, myself.
I think that one is interesting right there, Dalton.
Which one's that?
Well, I hate to admit it,
Yep.
but I'm not on my phone as much.
Go back one. It's so awesome I come in here to the library now during the day. We changed a few things with our online classes. It used to be freshmen through juniors, if they were good standing, they got to leave during their online class. And coming into this year, I wanted to change that just a little bit to keep kids in the building. You only get to experience this so long. I want to keep you here in the building and enjoy the high school experience. You come into the library now, and Mrs. Reitinger, I can't give her enough credit because she's really done a fantastic job here in the library. You see the kids in here playing card games, playing Uno, just all kinds of different games. If they're done with their stuff, they're here playing games like that instead of, whereas before they'd be scrolling through TikTok, whatever it may be, so. Is there questions about the cell phone change here at the high school? Okay, Lat.
Do you have any students here that want to speak on it?
I don't know. I did have some students from IJ that wanted to come speak, but they weren't able to make it happen. We do have our Composition 1 class here tonight to view the board meeting tonight, so.
So basically, at first day, we were like, in my government class, we came in, we were all like, not very pleased at first. Even Mr. Smith was talking about it, he's like, how you guys feeling? We all agreed that wasn't the best. After 3 weeks, we felt pretty good about it. I mean, to be honest, I have gotten my homework done. And then, yeah, like during like my 5th and 6th grade, we played like a lot of board games. Like Max and Colton over here, we played a lot, and they didn't play like a lot of board games the entire time. We invite teachers, we Mr. Phillips played a game with us one time. It's pretty awesome sauce, but overall, it's pretty good, to be honest.
Thank you. One thing I want to share with the board and everybody is just some of the work we're doing here at the high school right now. So we established, and not really established, because we just adopted what the district level goals are here at the high school. And the work we're doing as a BLT team here at the high school is working through these 5 goals and what we can do here at the high school specifically to make progress towards these goals. And so right now you guys can read through these. What we're doing currently as a BLT, like I said, is just those action steps as far as how can we increase our graduation rate here at the high school? How can we continue to improve our attendance here at the high school? And so that will be the work you hear in the next month and a half to really establish those action steps and things that then we can report back out to the staff so that we know where we're at and what adjustments we need to make to continue to make progress towards these goals here to move the needle. We want to move the needle of high school. We want to make this place better. So that's all I got. Thank you guys.
One note on 2A, it's actually the inverse, right? That's how many?
Yeah, so last year, so that means 14% of our students were considered chronically absent, which is missed 10% or more of the days in the school year last year. So, which actually that's a huge jump. I think, I don't have it right in front of me, but I think the year before that, we were somewhere near 30%. Almost 30% of our student body at the high school was considered chronically absent, which means if you miss 10% of school, it's roughly 18 school days you're missing. It's tough. It's tough to improve these other areas if we don't have kids in school. And so that was our focus last year. We put together an attendance team. We still do. Every week we get together and we talk about kids who are on that threshold of being on the wrong side of the fence on attendance and try to get them here to school. Because I think that's the foundation for these other goals.
I know we've picked on the elementary principals a lot lately, it seems, and focused on that, so I'm glad to give them a little bit of a break for once, but I hope we weren't neglecting you. I appreciate you and all the hard work you've been doing. I think you've got some really great goals here, and I appreciate your energy and your willingness to connect with the students. So as always, we're here for you as much as we are with the elementary principals, so reach out if we can do anything to help you. Great job.
Thank you, Dalton. Next, we have the superintendent report, but we're going to start with the superintendent search update. Our consultant, our hiring firm, search firm, GLS, is here to present the results of our community stakeholder survey.
Sorry about that. 1972, sorry.
Good evening. Sorry about the slight delay of technology. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. I'm Shannon Bisgard, as you know. My colleague John Spears is hiding in the back. We're glad to be here tonight, and we're really glad to have such a big audience come to hear our presentation. I'm sure that's why everybody's here. It's really actually very interesting for us to hear the context of what the district is working on, the focus areas as well, so that helps us in communication with candidates. So far, our search is going very well. I'll cover two main things with you tonight. The first is the stakeholder survey report. I assume and think the board has seen the report itself, so I won't go through every single thing that's on there, but I'll give you a summary. And then what I would encourage you to do is after tonight, I would encourage you to share that survey with your community in any way possible. Whether that's on your website, social media, physical posting, wherever you can, just to be transparent. You ask for feedback from people. I think we always like to hear the results of that feedback as well. So I think that's a good next step. Where we are in the process right now, we're still very early in the process. If you remember, I showed you this document a couple of times. We've met before. We kind of started from the top and kind of weave our way through all the steps. We're still in about the second or third step there right now. So the second one listed is identify desired qualifications, which is really what the survey is helping to tell us. And then kind of on the same timeline, we're advertising the job, we're recruiting candidates, that's happening at the same time as well. So we're still in the early stage of the process and feel like it's going well at this point. Survey participation numbers at 236 responses, which we felt like was a really good number. In my mind, with your size of the district and community, I was hoping for 200 and we got over that. So I appreciate everybody taking the time to fill that survey out. But you also had a nice response rate from several different groups, from staff members to parents and guardians to community members as well too. So it's nice to have a nice diverse background of responses to the survey. And that makes you feel like that data is pretty representative of your community. The first thing it asked for was current strengths that people saw as your district. So the summary of those as we went through the response rates kind of came up with four main themes. So dedicated and quality teachers and staff, strong arts and athletics programs, community involvement and support, as we can verify tonight, and a focus on student success and opportunities. Second, there were several things listed, but that was kind of like the key themes we saw popping up over and over again fit into those key areas. On the flip side, what are current challenges that are happening across the district? The main themes that surfaced there were communication and transparency, student discipline and engagement, maybe the cell phone policy is helping with that, facilities and resources, and employee recruitment and retention. Surfaces the four main themes in addition to other things that were listed there as well. So as you as board members, kind of as you're hearing this, as you looked at the survey, what's your first reaction? Does this all seem like, yep, that's kind of where I put us as well? Or are there some things that surprise you? Just kind of curious your general, does this reflect your thoughts essentially? If you don't have anything, that's fine.
I think it is representative of the feedback that we get as board members from community members and parents.
See some head nods on that as well. Good. So we always want to make sure that what you are expecting to hear is actually what you hear as well too. But sometimes that's not always the case. So good. The next thing we asked for in the survey was what do people want to see in the next superintendent and desired qualifications. I won't read through all of these, but by far and away the top one was somebody that is approachable, accessible, and welcoming. And it's by far and away the top one. And then the next couple of items are in a similar tier in the 41% to 43%. Recruits, hires, supports, develops, retains effective staff members, which fits an earlier concern. Follows through on tasks and responsibilities, demonstrates ethics and integrity, effectively manages district resources. There are a couple others that follow as well. The other thing I want to make sure I reiterate with you as well is this piece of the survey is what we really use then to craft the next steps of our hiring process. I mentioned to you earlier, we do interview questions, whether it's the screened interviews or it's the full group interviews, we start to pull questions from these themes pretty heavy. So I'll make sure that this you feel like is reflective of where I want us to focus as well. Obviously we'll have other questions to pull in and we'll cover a broad area. These will be different themes you'll see over and over again through the interview process. So those are the top 10 things that surfaced in that area. Any thoughts that you saw there? Anything that's missing? Maybe you think those are your top priorities as well.
How about communication with and working with the community, building relationships?
Possess a strong communication skills was
Yep,
right here about number 7 on the list as well. It's about 37%, kind of the next tier of items is listed. And then community and school relations is right next to the 34%. So those two can be lumped together. Definitely a theme we want to make sure to emphasize in the hiring process.
So Shannon, right there, the top one, approachable, accessible. Social media engagement is come a long way. I mean, it's very important. Do you feel that somebody with that background that puts things out to the community through social media would qualify for that top one, approachable, accessible?
I think that's one way of being approachable and accessible to connect with people, but I wouldn't want to limit it to just that. It's, despite all the connectivity we have, this is still very much a people profession, so I think that personal relationships, connections that way, we wouldn't want to sacrifice that. Is that kind of what you're referencing? Or?
Yeah. Yep.
I think it's important to look at different ways to do that, and we can dig into that in the questions as well with Canvas to see how they would approach that, what their philosophy on that is.
And with the ad hoc committee coming up, here's somebody that's led some facility planning would be a requirement of mine.
Yep, and that was number 5 on the list, effectively manages district resources, kind of ties into the facility piece of it, came up as one of the concern areas as well as facilities, so certainly a good theme. And you'll get to see the questions, actually you'll get to craft them, we'll give you some draft ones to get started, and you can tweak and change it any way you want to. So we'll help you get started with it, you're not wordsmithing everything, but then you have total say over what we end up having each of those rounds of questions. But this is what we'll start pulling things from, is this set of qualifications.
I don't know if it's qualifications per se, but the only thing I see missing, or I guess I should say, the important things to me is somebody who is wanting to stay here a long time, longevity. We don't want somebody that is just going to use this district as a stepping stone to the next greater, bigger things. So we have, 10-year plan here with this district. We want somebody that can see us through. And on top of that, we want somebody who has experience with progressing the district forward, you know, has a history of being successful in projects, maybe getting a bond referendum passed, or at least, you know, creating some big changes within their district to better it for the future. So longevity and project management and success at leading a district forward was important to me.
Yeah, those don't really surface in these specifically, so those are things that we can take from feedback, add in as well. We don't have to narrow it to just this, so those are things that I can make sure as we get to that stage, we find ways to incorporate that as well. So great feedback. That's why we ask you to make sure there's nothing else missing. Good. And then the last thing that we ask is advice for the next superintendent. So this really is just kind of more FYI for you, but this really becomes important for us after we've completed the hiring process to go back and share this with the new superintendent as well, just some advice, things for them to ponder and think about. They'll get lots of advice once they get started. That's for sure, but it's also important for them to know when they come in, this is what you're probably going to be hearing, these different areas as well. So this is just a sampling of what's listed there. So I won't read through all those, but some really good pieces of feedback in here from people as far as what they would encourage the person to do as they get started. And then the last thing I'll mention on the actual survey itself, this becomes a marketing tool for us as well. So I've shared this with a couple of candidates already, and I'd like to share this with other candidates as we get further in our conversations, encouraging them to apply. One, we always want to get as big of a candidate pool as possible, but even more importantly, we want to find the right fit as well. So if they can see this information, what the community is looking for, skill areas, strength areas, I think that really helps to set up for success too. So I think it's good for you to share with your community, and then we use it as a tool to recruit and really try to find the right people as well too. So I appreciate everybody's time on completing the survey, and then it really helps us to drive the next steps. Speaking of those, the next steps for us, we're still early in the hiring process. We have a nice long window to apply. We said from essentially October 1st till November 30th. So that's still a ways to go on that piece of it, and that's intentional. And then just a reminder for you, after November 30th, the deadline, then things start to really happen fast. So it's slow, it's going to seem slow for a while, and then it's going to seem really fast once we hit December. So those dates you already knew about, just a reminder that in your already busy schedules, those are going to be even more busy times too, but those are fun. Just a reminder also, the weekly communication started last Monday. I think those got forwarded on to board members each Monday as well. Had a few little glitches on our end to figure out, and we got that taken care of. So every Monday you'll get an update as far as the number of candidates who have applied and who have submitted their application, and then you get to see some sample information, not sample, some of their initial information, resume, letters of application, those things to at least need to know candidates as they come in. I put at the bottom just a reminder, those are confidential at this stage. Again, we have a more of a hybrid approach where it's confidential for a while, but then once it gets to the final stage, it's more open and transparent and public at that stage too. But just a reminder as they come in, they are confidential at this stage, and we've told candidates that too, so they expect that. Just a reminder for you, if you haven't seen your email or notification today, at this time we have 5 completed applications, 1 application that's in progress. Again, we're still early in that process with November 30th as our deadline. So other than that, that's the last thing I have for you. So any questions you may have for either John or myself, otherwise we'll continue to plug away. Stay in touch with you as we go through this.
Any other questions? Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your meeting.
I want to point out the fact that you're not the same company that did the consulting for the Des Moines school system.
I'm glad you, I didn't want to bring that up, but I'm glad you did. And their system.
Believe me, we checked right.
Yeah, everybody is at this stage of the game, so. Yep.
Shannon, how many applications would you expect for this district, for the timing of, this is an early hire? How many applications would you expect based on your experience?
I think when I met with the board 6 weeks ago, so I think I talked about 12 to 15 is kind of that range we'd look at. This is an early hire, which is good. But I honestly think at this stage, we're still almost too early for people because they're not thinking about next year so much yet. But as they get into November, then they start to look to the future and it's more on their mind as well too. So I feel like we're in a good spot getting started. I think there'll probably be a lull here in the next week or two, and then it'll pick back up as we get into more mid-November applications. From what we've seen from there's one other district in Iowa that we are working on that is earlier than you. They only had about 10 applications. It's a smaller district, and there are a couple others similar size to you that are seeing similar numbers to where you're at right now too. So it's early. It'll still, as we get to November, I think we'll see things start to pick up. But that's a good reminder that 12 to 15 is kind of what we're anticipating. If it's more than that, then fantastic. So other than that, have a great rest of your meeting.
Okay, all right, so we're still in the superintendent's report. I'm going to go to number 2, fall of 2025 certified enrollment update. Board members, you have a summary in your packet. I'll pull that up on the screen and we can go through that. So on October 1, October 1 was count date, where that's in Iowa code. That's where all districts in the state of Iowa count students for enrollment. That's an important date because if you have a family with 6 kids move in on October 2, you don't get to count them. It's October 1 is the date for all school districts. So Cindy Smith in our offices has been working diligently on certified enrollment. We will certify this Wednesday the 15th. That's when all districts have to certify. So you count students on October 1, and then you work within your own district, and then you work with other districts as well, because there are oftentimes duplicate students. The student is listed as registered in Mount Pleasant, and perhaps they're registered in Fairfield, and so you're working with those districts to determine who is the resident, which district is the resident district. Okay, so all of that work is going on, and October 15th on Wednesday is certification day. So I'm gonna start here with this middle line, and I'll go through these others, but this middle line is called actual enrollment, okay? And this is the certified number. This will be the certified number. It may change just a bit as we finalize before Wednesday, but you can see our certified enrollment last year was 1,757.13. This year, this fall, October, the certified number was 1,697.41. That's down almost 60 students. A total of almost 60 students. That's a big number. That is a big number in reduction of students, especially when you consider that enrollment drives funding. And I think the easiest way to look at it is every certified student, every 1.0 student, the amount of dollars that we get from the state of Iowa for each 1.0 student is $8,000. So if you just take 60, or close to 60, and say 60 times 8,000, you're looking at a reduction in funding for next year of $480,000. I'm gonna switch this and go to a document that you have seen before. This is the Department of Education Certified Enrollment Projections, and I'll make this bigger so folks can see it. These are enrollment projections that we went through earlier this year in July and August. We went through the demographics that are affecting our region and our school district. If you remember, we looked at birth rates in Henry County, we looked at birth rates in Mount Pleasant, 5-year-olds in Mount Pleasant, 5-year-olds in surrounding communities, all of these things that that are demographics that our region is, I guess I would say, dealing with. Some of the demographic changes that our region is dealing with. And one of the documents that we looked at the time is this document, and this is the Iowa Public Schools Certified Enrollment projections for 25-26 all the way up through 2029-2030. And the Department of Education has a formula that they plug in based on birth rates, based on kindergarten class sizes, based on students who move from one grade level in our district to the next grade level. And then they apply that ratio into this formula, and they make a prediction on your certified enrollment number. So what I wanted to point out as we do this is the Department of Education predicted that for 2025-2026 that our certified enrollment would be 1,702 students. And as we looked at in that previous document, the number was 1,697. So very, very close number, okay? And again, I know I'm repeating myself, but that's based on their evaluation of the demographics. They make that prediction. And what I would as we continue forward in these discussions, and you know, as we look to the future of the district, you can see these predictions here that the projections, I guess I'll call them, that the DE is making in 26-27. They have us down another 50 students to 1,650. Then 27-28, it's down another 25. They actually have us down almost another 60 or so in 28-29. To the year 2029-2030, when they're showing a certified enrollment number of 1,523. So I encourage the board members to keep this in mind. I'm glad that we have a number of community members here to understand the demographic changes that our region and our district is going through, and that we're going to need, we're going to need to address as a school district. I'll say it again, at 60 students times $8,000 apiece, that's a reduction in revenue of almost $500,000, $480,000. I'm going to go back to the certified enrollment document and just give some of the details. Board members, you can see here. Resident public students attending Mount Pleasant Community School District, that change is down 66 students that live in our district and attend. Resident public school districts attending another Iowa public school district. That's open enrollment out. So our open enrollment out, those who live in our district but attend a different school district, was up 5. Shared time, CPI students or homeschooled students, dual enrolled for district classes, that went up 1.88, and that's those. You get part of a 1.0 as far as the weighting goes. You get part of 1.0 depending on what classes those students are taking. So that went up 1.88. We already looked at the actual enrollment. This is our open enrollment in non-resident public students attending your district. That went up 4 from 142 to 146. So basically, open enrollment in and open enrollment out was a wash, 5 to 4. This is an important number to see here. Pre-K students attending your statewide voluntary preschool program was down. Now remember, pre-K students are counted at 0.5. Okay, so we have, at the time of certified enrollment, we have about 62 students attending pre-K that were counted. So it's 0.5 that you get in weighting. Total school-age students provided instructional programs and services by your district was down that 60 number from 1762 to 1701. And again, that takes into account all the kids as a 1.0. You know, even though it might be maybe it's a homeschool dual enrolled kid who's taking classes and you only get weighting for, let's say, 0.3 or 0.4, but that counts all of the students as 1.0, the number of kids that are taking those classes.
This sheet is actual enrollment.
That is projected.
Projected actual enrollment, though. Not projected. The 1701.
School-age students provided instructional programming and services by, that would be, I'm not sure what you're asking.
Comparing the 1701 versus the 1697.
Yes, this would, Josh, so total school-age students provided instructional programming and services by your district, and I'm sure I misspoke. I'm positive I misspoke. This would include open enrolled in students as well.
But this sheet is representative of that 1697.
That is, you are correct.
That's the number there.
That is, yep.
What we should be comparing it to.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah, this is, you could call, Josh, you could call this served, basically served enrollment because you're serving those open enrolled kids as well. Our limited English proficiency weighting, our ELL, English language learners, was down a bit, 3.25. And again, those are weightings, so that's more than 3.25 students. Those are weighted students. And then ESSA funded students, education savings account students went from 7 to 23. That's up 16. The majority of those students for ESSA, 18 of them are attending Mount Pleasant Christian School, which is now an accredited school, and you can get the ESSA dollars for that. The other 5 students, there are a couple at Holy Trinity and a couple at Burlington Notre Dame. Again, as we move through our meeting tonight, and we talk about the CAR, as Director Boyer mentioned, it's going to be important that we keep that we consider this number as we look at our overall finances going forward. Does the board have any questions on certified enrollment? Okay, we will certify on Wednesday. Number 3, Facilities Ad Hoc Committee update. Wanted to share this with you. Most of the board members know on the 16th, right here in this space, the Media Center, we have our community kickoff meeting from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. For those attending who don't know, the board by resolution commissioned a facilities ad hoc committee to take a look at the future of our district, specifically the elementary programming and attendance centers, number of attendance centers, what all of that looks like. The board commissioned a committee to take a look at that. The community kickoff meeting is this Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. to share some information with our community about the work of the committee. What we'll do on Thursday is to provide some historical context, explain how we've arrived at this point in terms of facilities, clearly outline the board's charge to the committee, explain the purpose, structure, and timeline of the work ahead. The committee itself is it's about 45 people. 12, the majority of the people involved in the committee are parents and community members. There are some teachers and some administrators as well, and some support staff. But the majority of people on the committee are parents and community members. I'm working hard to get the committee filled out. It's not that 3-night commitment. October 22, November 18, and December 18. Those are the committee meeting dates. And I'll just tell you, it's with everything going on that people have going on, it's not easy to get a commitment for all 3 of those nights. But I'm close. I'm getting there. I've been making phone calls and following up with people to get that done. So the 3 working sessions, October 22, defining the ideal elementary experience. November 18, assessing current realities, identifying gaps between where we are and where we want to be. December 18, exploring options and trade-offs to close the gaps and developing potential scenarios for board consideration. We will make sure that all the materials, the meeting notes, the resources will be publicly posted publicly on our district webpage. And following the committee's work, there will be a report to the board on January 26th, Monday, January 26th. Dr. Steve Murley will be the facilitator of the committee, and so he will be directing the committee's work. He will be here on Thursday for that community meeting. They are public meetings. They will be posted public meetings, so people could attend. You could attend if you wanted to, but the work of the committee is what will be happening. It won't be a time for question and answer with those in attendance. It will be the work of the committee, but they are open meetings. Any questions on the ad hoc committee update?
How many members do you have for it done?
Say it again, Mark.
How many members do you have for the committee? How many short are you?
I think I still have, I have phone messages out to 4 remaining community members. It's 12 parents and 15 community members. So I've got messages still out that I will follow up on tomorrow for 4 community members and a couple of the parents as well. Okay, number 4. We're all the way to number 4. Number 4, Wisdom Quest transition to the Activity Center. Just a quick update. I let the site committee know that the transition of Wisdom Quest out of the, I never, in all my years here, we just have always called it the metal building. But it's the specific address is 307 East Monroe. The mailing address is 400 East Madison, but it is the metal building where Buildings and Grounds and Wisdom Quest is in the middle. Central Receiving is on the west. Wisdom Quest is transitioning out of that building First day of classes is planned for Tuesday, October 21, at the Activity Center, second floor. Our Director of Buildings and Grounds, Chad Minghouse, is going to start moving classrooms on October 15th and 16th. We're ready to go with technology. Food service has been notified. Mr. Rogers is going to be working with Samantha O'Connor on a social media post about the change in wisdom quest. Mr. Rogers is here. Do you have any comments on it, Tyler?
Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. All right. The next thing on the agenda, I don't have documents for, just it's informational. November 4th, school board, the November 4th school board election information. On Wednesday of this week, we have a candidate forum right here, 6 p.m. That is being, we are just the venue. The Chamber Alliance is facilitating and hosting that candidate forum. So that's 6 o'clock this Wednesday. Number 6, special board session on October 27th. At that time, we would review the PDO Memorial Building demolition bids and give the board consideration to look at and approve those bids if acceptable. We will also have Jeff Shipley, Iowa House Representative Jeff Shipley from District number 87, just to have some conversation about the upcoming session, what he sees for things in education in this upcoming session. Number 7, the Iowa Association of School Boards Annual Convention, November 19th through 21. Please let me know if you plan to attend the convention. You can get a hold of Cindy in our offices as well. She has secured hotel rooms for the convention, and if you want to stay that Wednesday night into Thursday, we're also looking, by the way, the next thing on there is the delegate assembly. Melinda attended last year the delegate assembly as our representative. So if anyone is interested to go on Wednesday to that delegate assembly, please let me know, and we can get you registered as a member to the delegate assembly. And then finally, number 9, we are hosting Ready, Set, Govern, the board development session right here on January 14th. That will be all of the regional school districts will be invited to bring their board members, and that professional development will be done by the School Board Association. So we'll have supper here, and then we'll go into the professional development time. That's the superintendent's report.
You did the delegate. Jeff Shipley is the only one that you reached out to.
Yeah, I reached out to all 4 of our representatives. And I heard back from Adrian Dickey, who sends his regrets, wanted to be here, has something that evening, as well as Taylor Collins. He couldn't be here either. So the only one that I didn't hear from was Senator Mark Lofgren.
All right, moving on to board committee reports. Would anyone like to share?
I'll go through the site committee if that's okay with everybody. John has the discussions pulled up from the site committee last Thursday night. The first bullet point, we were joined by Activities Director Scott Lamb regarding baseball field lighting. So the lights have been dimming over the years. There's been a study done, and it was 5 times below the safety requirement. So we had been working on this like as a summer project for 26, 27. But Mr. Lamb was approached by Musco lighting employees. They're doing an upgrade, and they can move that lighting system to Mount Pleasant for a heavily discounted price, 25-year warranty. A new system would be $500,000, $500,000 it says there. They're offering it to us for $200,000, and this is coming up in new business. The second bullet point, hazardous material abatement of the PEO Memorial Building. This is coming up in new business. Right there it lists the prices. Thermal Concepts out of Hiawatha at $47,575, and that's less than we were expecting by $20,000 for asbestos abatement. The next bullet point is more the PEO, leadership. We spoke about this a little bit earlier. Has been allowed to look for historical items in the PEO Memorial Building, and the preservation station out of Burlington has had interest as well. Next bullet point is the Wisdom Quest move. Superintendent's report covered that. The next bullet point hasn't been discussed yet, but it is the recommended steps for a school district to sell property. And what we're talking about is the former central receiving and grounds building. We did talk about the metal building, but full disclosure, full transparency here on the committee agenda notes. The city of Mount Pleasant has expressed interest in purchasing the building. According to the district's attorney, the district can enter into direct negotiations with the city for purchase of the property. Last bullet point from the site committee is the facilities ad hoc committee, already covered. Moving to the policy committee, anybody else have anything?
I think the one thing to mention, the rest of the conversation on that metal building is that the current Mount Pleasant Child Care has interest in moving there, and they've been in conversation with the city, so it could be a win-win that they would then work through the city and have done a site visit and could potentially move the child care center into that part of that building as well.
Yeah, Matt Martin joined that meeting with us, the director for the child care center, and he told us it's gonna take a couple deadbolts and a couple emergency door handles that you would push open for the fire marshal, and that's really it. It would be a lift and move is what he called it. The policy committee, their policy series 300, which is administrators, covers superintendent, principals in general. We've reviewed that language, and the only change we had was moving the evaluation completed by May 15th, changing that wording to completed per Iowa code. The next bullet point is some fundraisers that will be coming up in new business.
Anybody want to give the finance section?
I'm glad to do that. First item, we went through, Jessica went over the financial reports, and then we went through all the expenditures for the month of September, each line item. Then the next items are the certified annual report, the special education supplement, and the transportation report. Those are all going to be coming up in new business. Then certified enrollment, Mr. Anderson just explained that to us. We're down 60 students. That equates to $480,000 of funding. And we went on to discuss that because of our unspent budget authority has also decreased. So given both of those, that Mr. Henderson recommended to us that our district identify budget reductions in approximately equaling $1.3 billion. That needs to be done in this coming year. And then he talked about the modified allowable growth, then the English proficiency. Actually, with the Iowa proficiency profiles that Dr. Butler went over, we're doing well as far as English proficiency. What's surprising that we learned, we have about 150 students in our district realize that we have that going on, which makes it difficult for them to learn and to take tests.
You know, we're excited, next month in the Student Spotlight. Joy, are you gonna be here as well? Joy Lab, one of our ELL instructors, and Michelle Dickey are gonna be here with some of their students, who they're just doing an outstanding job in getting those students where they need to be.
That's great.
Anything else for committee reports? All right, moving on, other board communication. Then we have consent items. We have personnel and open enrollment. We can take those as separate or all as one.
I would make a motion to take them all as one.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jessica, roll call?
Flint.
Yes.
Mullen.
Yes.
Overberg.
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Hampton.
Yes.
Mocker.
Yes.
Sicko.
Yes.
We had no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. Our first item is consideration to approve the estimated cost specifications and form of contract for the PEO Memorial Building demolition.
I'd like to say a few things. Thank you to those who came specifically because of the PEO Memorial Building, and to those who spoke. I know it's not easy to do so. I appreciate the passion the community is showing for this. That means a lot to me. This building means a lot to me as well. My mom is in PEO, has been my entire life. My mom worked in the building when I was a little kid. I think that almost everybody in this room has a soft spot in their heart for Iowa Wesleyan in some form or another, as it existed through our town's history. And I don't want to move through this process quickly because of that. And I'm a lifelong resident of Mount Pleasant, so I've been through every bump in the road when it comes to Iowa Wesleyan. I, as I'm sure most of you, wished that it could have remained what it was. I don't think there was one person in this community who wasn't rooting for it. There were several fundraising campaigns that happened, and we kept it going one more year, and to many circumstances, as most of us know, it just failed in the end. I am proud to be on the board of the district who now inhabits some of those buildings, because I truly believe that without the Mount Pleasant School District, all of those buildings would have continued to dilapidate and not have been used for anything as good of a purpose as use of the school district. I'm very proud that it is being used for academic purposes still. We've made it clear that because of the building prices, we were happy to get what we got for that price, and it was made known from the very beginning that PEO Memorial Building, Old Main, and Pioneer Hall did not serve a purpose for the school district. The district at the time, the board at the time, tried, like we've already stated tonight, to carve out that, and it wasn't allowed. So the alternative, instead of saying no, I'm glad that buildings are now being used for academic purposes for the cost that they were able to be got for. And I assumed, and maybe that's on my error, that it was well known from the very beginning that the district did not have use for these buildings. So we've had a couple of years to where we've had opportunities for people to come to us and present us with opportunities for those buildings. I was hoping that that would happen. And, like we've already stated, not just in this end part of the process, we have been in dealings with PEO International from the very get-go, hoping that they would step in and take take ownership of these properties. And it's no fault of their own. I'm not here to critique them, but they did not wish to do so. To Mike's credit, you're right. We did not formally project this out to the community and say, we are looking for ideas. And it's easy for me to sit up here on the board and say that we did that because we've talked about this ad nauseum for 2 years now. But there's a big difference, and I'm glad that you pointed that out. I again, I think it's easy for us to think that we were transparent in saying, please come to us with ideas. We welcome those ideas. And please forgive us for not executing that to the extent the community wished that we would. So now we're here. And I've been asked, in the last couple of weeks, multiple times, what's the rush? Why are we just running through this? From our standpoint, we are not just running through this. Like I've said, this has been part of a process that has been talked about for 2 years now, hoping that there would be another purpose that would present itself. But it's now a liability. It's a danger. It's costing the district money. But you all have, and many other people, not just those who have come tonight and spoke, have presented a lot of great input. And I really wish, like the gentleman spoke first, that we could repurpose it. It's a beautiful building. I want to see it saved. I wish we could repurpose it. But one of the biggest things that I have learned as a new school board member is how much things cost. And it is
Like a mic drop?
I know I'm long-winded. I didn't know I would run through batteries. Sorry, I will try to wrap this up quickly. But I've been blown away time and time again when we look at construction projects throughout the district at how much things cost. And not to discredit that gentleman's idea and act like what a ridiculous thing to just think that it could be repurposed, but knowing what we've seen time and time again when we've tried to complete projects, just for instance, the concrete here at the high school, we try to do a little bit every year. We did just a small chunk of the circle in the entrance and 2 more chunks out in the school parking lot. Very small. Those 3 chunks, $100,000. That just blew my mind that things cost that much. So I wish that the district could repurpose this and save it. But it just isn't feasible for us. And I feel like we have done our due diligence to open it up and hope that other people would come in and repurpose it, but maybe we've fallen short for that. We are about to talk about some very difficult financial things that the district has to look forward to. But I'm not naive to look at the fact that we are talking about spending, upwards of $350,000 for this demolition. That's no small feat. And I'm trying to factor all of that in to our discussions moving forward. So I might not get any support in this, but I will put forth a motion now to table this bid discussion decision for 3 months for efforts of somebody to try to come and save the building, but no more. And I realize that we're accepting the cost of utilities and the liability of it in hopes that somebody is successful in saving that $350,000 for the district. I know I probably won't, but do I have a second to that motion? Okay, thank you.
I'll second it. This is a very emotional issue. And I don't think there's anybody in this room that served more time on that campus than anyone in this room, than me and my wife. And it's been tough. It was tough 3 years ago when we closed the doors. This past weekend, we just hosted 15 alumni that came back for homecoming, without a homecoming. It's tough, but it's also costly. And as a member of the school board, we have to look at the diligency of tax dollars. And I wish it could snap a finger and things would be resolved. But there's only so much money in Mount Pleasant, Henry County,
There's a lot of projects, a lot of needs. And it makes priorities tough to make a decision on. I second this motion just to get it on the table for a vote. I'm not saying that I will probably vote yes or no on the motion once we take a vote. But I thought the opportunity would be there to have Aaron's motion be seconded. But I think I would amend the motion a little bit to go January 1 instead of 3 months. That I think if we're going to, we can't keep kicking the can down the road. And our students deserve the money that taxpayers pay. And we need to take our students in consideration and our priority. Mount Pleasant Community Schools can't be in the business of historic preservation. Our preservation is for our students and our faculty and our staff. And that is when I ran 2 years ago, I said I was for the students. That's my priority. The students are still my priority. So I'll second the motion just to get a vote, see what happens, and we'll go from there.
Currently, the proposal is for construction to start with.
Well, we have, the bids are due on October 27th, so the board would review those the evening of October 27th. I believe notice to proceed, I'd have to look, notice to proceed is like November 1, early November is notice to proceed. If the board approves the bids, then at that time, in October, late October, then I would contact Mr. McInerney and then he would let the winning bid know and would give them notice to proceed as per the documents. It's early November.
Could we do this both? That we could put that notice to proceed out to, did you say, what date did you say?
January 1.
Notice to proceed January 1, so that we can still get bids in and continue down the road while simultaneously putting it out for.
I don't think you could accept a bid and say, but conditional for 30 days, is what you're asking, right? Because we did have to accept or deny a bid on the 27th, and I don't think then you could, well, so you're asking then to,
Well, not just to proceed, but to approve. Could we still go out for bids? Because I feel it's necessary to get that information. It's necessary to get the information so we know if we would approve it or not. And could that timeline be extended? Is that what you're asking?
That's what I'm trying to get to, yes.
I don't think so. The bid documents have been produced and are out there. The notice to bidders has been out there for several weeks.
So in actuality, then we could continue taking the bids, but then we could not accept the bids.
You can reject the bids. Yes, you can reject the bids. Yeah, there's no there's no requirement for the board to accept the low responsible bid.
But then you have to go through this process all again to start over.
correct.
If I might just add something as well, to what end does this meet our district mission of empowering students to achieve without limits? And you mentioned some of that, Aaron, in what you said. To what end does preserving that building meet our district mission of empowering students to achieve without limits? And then if you said that it does, then what does that look like? It's important for the board, I think, it's important for the board to consider what does that look like? Who's raising that money? Is that is it a business? Is it some other organization, some other entity? Is that, do we want, I think that, the board is gonna have to definitely consider who you would want in that building if that's what was going to happen. So that's a whole nother conversation. So I would just add that to your discussion.
Yeah, I think that's very important to consider, and I appreciate you raising that. And I'm no expert at legal documents, but I would try to formulate a contract with the stipulation that it adheres to a certain criteria that meets acceptance of the district. And I realize that that's a difficult task at hand. We might go round and round on that, and it may not even be legally feasible. We may not have that power. I don't know. But I do think we owe it to explore that option and see if that's even a possibility. To answer your question, if it meets our mission, if we were able to stipulate who would occupy that building, I would be in favor of it remaining a historical, in essence, facility to which, perhaps a museum of sorts, and to that effect, it would enrich our students' capability of learning something about the community from a historical standpoint, whether that be through, women empowerment that has taken place on those grounds, the law side of things, and then, last but not least, the PEO side of things. I think that our students would benefit and empower their lives by learning some of that stuff if that building were to be turned into a museum of sorts. We may not have the control over that. I also think that it empowers students by maintaining good standing with the community. If we have a fair number of people who are coming to us saying that this building is incredibly important to us, we don't want you to tear it down, and then we proceed to do so, at what cost and what jeopardy are we putting the standing of the district with the community? I think that goes hand in hand with empowering students to learn and to fulfill their lives within our community.
So if we had tabled this, so as the board, for if they don't plan to go forward to fundraise or whatever, would we give them the building? Would we sell the building to them? So they need to know where we stand if this is something they're gonna do. And then my other thing is if we table it for 3 months, to whoever's gonna head it up, do they give us, or contact John and give weekly updates? Because if it's not going nowhere in a month, do you knock it in the head and quit? There's gotta be some progression somehow. You can't just wait for 3 months to go by and nothing, and then they come up 3 months later and say, well, we couldn't get nothing.
And how does this affect our ad hoc facilities committee that's going to be studying all of our attendance centers and campuses? What will they be discussing the development of the central campus at all? Wouldn't it make a difference whether that building is there or not, or not knowing who it might belong to or how it would be used? How will that affect what recommendations they might make?
It's a valid question as well. The charge of the ad hoc committee is, regardless of existing facilities, what should what do we want it to look like? That's where it's starting, so.
It may very well include central campus.
The motion on the table is to table the consideration to approve the documents. Aaron, you started with 3 months. Mike, you asked for an amendment to January 1. Is that?
So the motion that Aaron made was for 3 months. If nobody seconds that, it dies for the lack of a second. Mike can go ahead and motion until January 1, and then someone can second that. But to get the date correct, but yeah.
So Aaron's didn't have a second. So Mike, are you motioning to table it until January 1?
Good question. I agree with what Mark is saying too, that we need to see progress being made. And if we do this, then we should have weekly reports that what is taking place so that we can act upon it down the road. I'll make a motion that we make it to January 1, 2026.
I'll second that.
So the motion on the table is to table the consideration until January 1st, 2026. Any other discussion?
If we do this, to whoever's out there, so in a week, we should know something if it's going somewhere. I mean, you come to the board with a plan or suggestions. I know this is hard, but if we don't see movement in a week or two, I say we proceed with our sealed bids. Because you gotta have something in motion for us to go forward with this. We got a lot at stake. That'd be nothing better to somebody take this on and save the district $350,000.
Absolutely.
But we gotta get something, you know, some movement, so there's some, good faith in this on the community's part, instead of laying it all on the board.
I don't disagree with that. I think a week is too ambitious. To the credit of the community who thinks that we've not charged this with an opportunity, that's a really short turnaround. The only thing I would add is that if this motion were to be approved, the special board session that was to take place October 27th to review bids could now be taken place by working out the details of this new tabling. We could kind of hone some of these questions that we're having right now, and hopefully, if there's an entity that is serious about doing this, they might attend that special board session and be able to have some input as the progress or the plans for progress that they might have made by that point.
Anything else?
You can always reject the bids. You can always reject the bids. You know, the cost that you currently have into this is the planning and preparation that is architect fees. We have the abatement, which, you know, does that go forward? They have to get into the roof to abate. That is the main area of abatement. And I don't know what other areas. I haven't reviewed the abatement report. So
So John, if we reject all the bids, what do we tell the people that are bidding on it? don't you have to disclose who got the bid?
No. You can always, the board at that time does not have to accept bids. I recently had this conversation with our attorney on a different project. This very conversation, what if you saw it through so you could get a price on, it was actually it was the central office at the activity center on that first floor. And my question was, could you go ahead and move forward with it and get actual bids so the board would know? And she said, yes, you can always reject the bids. So that's not an issue, but I don't know, the abatement is, you'd have to, I'm assuming you'd have to put a stop on that, because that is planning that to happen, once this is approved tonight, because that proposal is on the agenda for later here.
Maybe what we gotta do is take the bids the 27th, and on the 27th, we make a decision to accept the bids or not accept the bids. And have a report from whomever is out there to the board what the progress is, if any.
Based on the motion, there's been a motion and a second, so we have to go ahead and take roll call on the current motion on the table. So is there any other discussion on the current motion of tabling until January 1, 2026? Jessica, roll call?
Flint,
No.
Mullen,
No.
Overberg,
No.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
No.
Husinga.
No.
So that motion fails. Is there a motion to approve the estimated cost specification and a form of contract for the
Also
demolition?
move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion?
So when will the abatement start? Before? Not before we accept bids?
The abatement is a later action item
But it's to start when?
on approval of
Yeah, they would start, the abatement process would start right away.
Right away.
Mhm.
They wouldn't wait until we take bids on the
Correct,
demolition.
yeah.
Any other? Jessica, roll call?
Flint,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
No.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinga.
Yes.
All right. Next up on new business is consideration to approve fiscal year 25 certified annual report.
Okay, so this is the report that I alluded to earlier when I was giving the monthly financial report. This is the report that certifies our balances at year end as of June 30th, 2026. And you all have the cardboard little diagram at your table. There are 2 times a year that this would be a good reference tool, and this is one of them. So as I go through the fund balances, if you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask me while I'm going through these. The general fund beginning balance of 7.8 million ended the year with an ending balance at 6.4 million. That is a decrease of 1.4 million. And as you can see on your graph and through conversations that we've had previously, the general fund is utilized for salaries and benefits, educational supplies and equipment. The general fund is funded by state aid and property tax, among other things. But the main concern here is it's down 1.46 million. Fiscal year 24 over fiscal year 25. The student activity as of June 30th, 2025 ended with a positive increase, 65,964. We began the year with approximately $202,000 in the fund, and we ended with $268,825. What we pay out of the student activity fund, some of the things, the majority of the things are officials. That is a very big expense for that fund. And then also anything needed to play the game or to have the activity. So as an example, for us to offer a baseball program, the student activity fund needs to be able to provide the catcher's gear, the helmets, the game balls, those sorts of things. So those are all items that are funded out of the activity fund, and the main source of revenue for the student activity fund is our event admission prices. We also have fundraisers throughout the year. The booster clubs also help with uniform purchases and different items, but the main source of income is event admission. Going over to the management fund, as of June 30th, the balance in the management fund was $1.2 million. We started the year with $1.2 million. So we gained approximately $186,000. We use this fund for property tax, for property, liability, auto, work comp, and early retirement. The insurance, work comp insurance, early retirement. This is the first year that the district has offered an early retirement incentive, and that was funded through the management fund. The source of revenue for the management fund is all property tax. Going over to SAVE, we started fiscal year 25 with $4.1 million. We ended with $2.8 million. That's a decrease of $1.3 million. And this fund was used to build the central receiving, maintenance, and transportation facility. We also did numerous projects over the summer, capital improvements over at the central campus, and then we purchased two buses out of here. And then the source of revenue for the SAVE fund is the 1 cent penny sales tax. PEPL, we began the year with a $2.6 million budget. We ended the year with a $2.6 million balance. However, there was a slight decrease of $25,404. The voters of Mount Pleasant School District did approve a $1.34 property tax levy, and that is the main source of revenue for the PEPL fund. In debt service, this is what we use to pay our Apple computer lease year over year. We did pay that off in July of 2024, so most of the balance that came from the debt service is all interest from the bank. We began the year at $117,000. We ended the year at $124,000. So interest was really good to us this year. That fund gained $7,476. And then last but not least, the enterprise fund. That's just a fancy name for the nutrition fund. The nutrition fund started the year with $931,915. And a lot of that money was gained to districts all over the state, actually all over the United States, with federal COVID dollars. They gave us public school supply chain assistance money, and they also provided free meals for students of public school district while we were going through the COVID years. So to spend that down, that's what we've been trying to do, and that is the reason why we have such a healthy budget, and we're trying to spend it down to be within our reasonable limit. We began, like I said, $931,000, and we ended at $908,000, which is a decrease of $23,674. What we use this for, salary and benefits of our nutrition staff, for the food, any equipment, any supplies that they need. The thing about the nutrition fund is it has to be self-sufficient. So we get our revenue from the meal reimbursements from the state and federal. That's pretty much, and student meal money. That's really it. So when the COVID years were here, that was an anomaly. That does not happen. So that is the only fund that we have that has to be self-supporting of itself. And we have a wonderful food service director in Tisha Horn who keeps her eye on this all of the time and is always trying to offer nutritious meals to the kids, both breakfast and lunch. She does an amazing job with second chance breakfast for kids who come in late and didn't have a chance to eat. And she's just doing an amazing job. I can't toot her horn enough. So, do you guys have any questions on the year-end balances?
When's the last time we had a general fund deficit?
I'm gonna go back probably to 2017 or 18.
Do we have an explanation why this one happened?
So the largest thing is we've been funding many positions with ESSER funding. This was the first year that we have no officer funding. We knew that we didn't decrease any positions. We didn't make any changes. We actually added some positions for students. So we knew this was coming. We weren't quite sure to what magnitude, but it is expected because we didn't reduce anything that was being funded through ESSER dollars for the last three plus years. So, and we didn't decrease any other positions. We did add the behavior interventionist, guidance counselor,
Human resources and social media.
so we knew it was coming. We've been talking about having a healthy balance, so we knew we would be able to absorb. So.
And this affects the solvency ratio in which the state wants us to stay within
Correct, and we're gonna go through that when Mr. Hendrickson goes over the unspent balance.
Thank you.
But this will definitely be discussion in a work session coming up. We work on the budget for next fiscal year, beginning in January, February-ish, and we really, really have to put pencil to paper. I mean, yes.
The other thing to note is that we made no changes for this school year as well. So we're looking at another year of another deficit because we made no changes.
Okay, as part of the CAR, I want the board to take a look at the unspent authorized budget report. The unspent authorized budget, the easiest way to understand it in terms of school finance is it's your credit card limit. Your unspent authorized budget is like your credit card limit, okay? How do you grow your unspent authorized budget? Well, if your revenues are greater than your expenditures, then your unspent authorized budget grows. If your revenues were $100,000 greater than your expenditures, then your overall unspent authorized budget is going to grow by $100,000. And then that builds year over year, okay? So I'm gonna go all the way down to the bottom in the green. This is the unspent authorized budget report, all the way back to fiscal year 2018. Okay, so you can see that our unspent authorized budget at that time was just over $4 million. It increased the following fiscal year to 4.56, then to 4.9, then to 5.3, and then as Board President Blint mentioned, we received significant ESSER dollars because of our free and reduced lunch designation, our Title I designation. So we received significant ESSER dollars over these next few fiscal years. We went from 4.955 to 5.3. We did add positions. We added as Angie mentioned, we added a guidance counselor at the elementary. We added 2 math interventionists at that time. We coded several elementary teachers. About $500,000 in expenditures were coded to ESSER. And I want to echo what Angie already said. We have discussed this year over year in the Finance Committee. This is not new. It's not a surprise. We knew that those ESSER dollars were ending, and we didn't reduce any of those positions that we added. And so what we're seeing now is the effect of less revenue and unchanged expenditures or increasing expenditures because we negotiate with our employee groups and have given raises. So back to the unspent authorized budget. Went from 5.6 to 6.3 in fiscal year 23, and then in fiscal year 24, we were at just short of $7 million. And now the fiscal year that just ended, fiscal year 25, we went from $6.9 million to $6.1 million in our unspent authorized budget. Now, as Angie mentioned, $6.1 million. It's a healthy amount for the unspent authorized budget. It's not cash, but it is spending authority. I will say, however, that this decrease of about $800,000, again, the easiest way to look at it is our expenditures outpaced our revenues last fiscal year by about $800,000. So it has to be addressed, or as I said to the Finance Committee, once that fiscal snowball starts rolling down the hill, it picks up speed year over year, and you can go through $6 million in unspent authorized budget authority very quickly. Just within several years' time, you can go through it very, very quickly. I have experienced it a couple of times on the back end of it and trying to make the adjustments that we need to make. So there's $800,000 of decrease in unspent authority. And that's something the board is going to have to grapple with and deal with as we look to fiscal year 27. Because we didn't make reductions in fiscal year 26. So this would be year 2 of no ESSER funding and the same level of staffing that we currently have. I'll just say it now. When you couple this with a reduction, a decrease in student enrollment of 60 kids, which is another $480,000, then that's where I came up with we're going to need to reduce things by about $1.3 million to get back on track. That's either one time or over, you could do it one time or you could do it over, a 2-year period. But the board is looking at reductions in the general fund to make this work. Do you want to talk about solvency ratio? Yeah, so after fiscal year 25. Yeah, so our solvency ratio, if you close the doors, paid off every bill that you have, what do you have left? And what is that? I should have put that up. Anyway.
21.7%.
So we need to be in the area of 17%, and as per board policy. And so we're gonna have to look at it. We're gonna have to look at reductions.
Or previously, the high solvency ratio was 25, was it?
Correct,
25?
yeah.
So that was part of the logic and reasoning that we kept those positions, because we knew we had funds that we should be spending on students. So that was calculated, we knew. So these aren't new things, but now we're to that point where we didn't grow, we're not getting more funding. So we do have to look at the other side of the coin now, and we've utilized quite a bit of that surplus that we had to keep things where they were. And now we're going to be to the point where if we want to maintain student education, we have to make some changes.
I would, that's well said, and as we talked about it in the finance committee meeting, it was, I told Angie, I said, I remember you saying this, it was hard to justify reductions when your cash position was going up, your solvency ratio was going up, based on the funding that we have. And so now, the new reality is we're living in the demographics, as I already went through, and the reduced revenue, and increased expenditures as well. So.
It sounds to me like a very good time for increased advocacy for higher SSA, higher TSS. If only we had an opportunity to talk to one of our representatives. Hey, we do, coming up.
Yes, should be something that we continue to talk to our legislatures about.
Yes.
I'll echo that again.
Another part of the CAR that we generally go over each year is restricted fund balances. These funds, this HSAP, Homeschool Assistance Program, as Aaron just mentioned, teacher salary supplement, early intervention, the STEM grant, preschool is another one of the restricted funds. What that means is the funds that are in these areas can only be spent on these areas. So we've got a fund balance in the homeschool assistance program of $610,000, but those funds can only be spent on the homeschool assistance program. Same with teacher salary supplement, early intervention. Preschool is another one of the big ones, $380,000. Those funds can only be spent on preschool, and the same with TAG. So the total amount in our restricted fund balances at the end of fiscal year 25 is $1.3 million. Now, I will mention this again, just so it's out there, it's on the table. The district could, and the board could approve what's called a flex fund, where you could take some of these balances, or parts of the balances, and use them for any general fund purpose. So the board could establish a flexibility fund where you could put partial amounts of any of these into that flex fund to be used for any general fund purpose.
I think that is something I did take away from the finance committee and have started looking at some of that as we know that we're going to have to look at some changes. We had extensive conversation around the TSS balance as well, and until the audit is complete, there could be some movement of those funds, but
Quite a bit.
yeah. But if those balances were left, those funds would go back to the teachers as a disbursement. So, but we need the audit to be completed in November before we can disperse those funds.
And by the way, as was mentioned in the finance committee, the audit is, it's probably as late as we've ever had an audit. That is not our decision. We would prefer our audit to be in late August or September. And it's just a matter of them having the resources to get the audits done. So early November is the audit. So I'd recommend you approve the fiscal year 25 certified annual report.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Splint.
Yes.
Mullen.
Yes.
Overberg.
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Hampton.
Yes.
Maher.
Yes.
Huizenga.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve fiscal year 25 special education supplement.
Yep. Jessica's gonna talk a bit about the special education supplement and the balance. And again, just a bit of an overview. Our special needs students, they are weighted at 1.0, and they get some additional weighting based on the needs that they have, the goals that they have, to receive additional weighting. Sometimes that weighting, sometimes the needs of the student far exceed the actual weighting that you receive. And if that happens, through the whole program, then you have what's called a special education deficit, and that's not the case for us, at least this year. But Jessica's going to go over the supplement.
So what John was talking about is weighted enrollment receipts. What we spoke about earlier in certified enrollment was every student who attends any public school district in Iowa is worth a one full-time equivalency or 1 FTE. Any students who hold an IEP, they are either weighted at 1.72, 2.21, or 3.74. And this amount right here is the additional funding that we received for all of our special education students during last fiscal year. So $1.8 million. This was our total special education revenue. We did have some carryover from the prior year before. Our special ed expenditures, $4.4 million in the 24-25 school year. And then our special education balance that we can carry into next school year is $68,559.12. We do not, this is a positive, this meeting has not had a lot of positives. This is a positive. We do not have such a big special education balance this year that the state will take some from us and redistribute it to other districts in Iowa who have a negative special education balance. For instance, we have neighbors to the south of us who are at a $1 million plus deficit in special education. So my hat's off to our our teachers and staff for doing all that they can and keeping their expenses in line. However, if we have special education students that have a need, we are going to get it, whatever their need is. We owe it to that student, and they have additional weighting that allows us to purchase anything that they need for their needs. So our teachers and our administrators are handling this pot of money very responsibly, and this is housed in the general fund. So it's its own beast, but it is in the general fund. So, do you guys have any questions?
Does this come from IDEA funding?
We do get some IDEA funding, Part B is what we call it. I believe 78,000 is what we got during this school year. We also received about 163,000 in Medicare reimbursement for students. That's down from the year prior. But if a student comes to us and their parents allow us to claim reimbursement for nursing needs or transportation needs or paraprofessional needs, we can claim those additional dollars and get reimbursed for their Medicaid.
I just have concerns, something to keep an eye on. On Friday, 466 employees within the Department of Education at the federal level were fired. They work within the OSER, and that oversees all of the IDEA funding. We're unsure as to how that will affect funds, but that accounts for more than $15 billion across the country for special education needs, and we don't know what's going to come of that. So hopefully it won't affect us too much, but I will say right now that that is a concern of mine.
Thanks for that.
Unless you have questions, I would recommend you approve the fiscal year 25 special education supplement.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Flint,
Yes?
Mullen,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Studa.
Yes. Next, we have consideration to approve the fiscal year 25 transportation report.
In our finance meeting last week, we talked about the annual transportation report, and we discussed some of the variables that go into this. This again is the third report that is filed annually with the State Department of Education. I do want to point out that last year, we transported 796 students. During 24-25, that went down to 698 students. So we're transporting about 100 less students. We're driving less miles than we did the year prior. So the year prior, the regular route miles were 169,000, went down to 141,000, and that just kind of makes sense because we have 100 less students riding the bus, right? So then non-route miles, this is going to be your field trips, your classroom field trips. This is going to be football going wherever they're going, volleyball. We drove 52,000 miles the prior year, 49,000 miles last year. And then miscellaneous miles, this would be administrators going to meetings, teachers going to meetings, or if somebody has to drive to pick something up, or just, around campus. 221,000 and then 190, so that decreases well. Then we have our net transportation costs. So these are revenues and costs, and what we did talk about in our finance meeting is the prior year, 956,000, and then the current year, last fiscal year, 1.3. Well, that 1.3 includes 2 brand new buses that we purchased. The cost for those 2 new buses was $253,200. So if you take those out of the equation, you would have $956,000 against $1 million. So it did go up, but it didn't go up that significantly if you want to compare apples to apples. So then what we really want to look at is your average cost per mile traveled. So 23, 24, am I right there? Yep, $4.32 per mile. And then with the buses, $6.99. Without the buses, if you want to compare equal, it went from $4.32 to $5.68. Still an increase, and we're transporting less students, so we kind of need to take a look at things there. Then we have our non-route operating costs, $226,000 up to $348,000. So that's a significant jump there as well. We have our net operating costs, $730,000, and it went up to, without the buses, $799,000. So you go $730,000 and then about $800,000. Average cost per pupil, $917. And then when we take the new buses out of the equation, we are at $1,146. And as I suggested during our finance meeting, I would like to do an independent study, possibly, of our routes, see if there's anything that we can do to condense. We are transporting less students. We currently run 16 bus routes. I don't know, that's not my lane. I'm gonna stay out of anything that's not my lane, to see if we can condense it down to anything. Can we go down to 13 routes? I'm not sure. But just as we're starting to look at ways to cut expenses, this might be somewhere. So Hopefully we can get that done next week, but again, that's going to be for a board work session that we will have sometime this winter. Do you guys have any questions?
Okay, I would recommend that you approve the fiscal year 25 transportation report.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Lynn,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Stingo.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve modified allowable growth for limited English proficiency costs.
Okay. So this request for modified allowable growth, it's also on the heels of the ending of fiscal year 25. Just like with special education, if your program costs are more than the additional weighting that you receive for your limited, your English language learning students, you can request modified allowable growth for that amount. So the amount for fiscal year 25 was $195,083 of cost above the revenue generated. So I would recommend that you approve that amount as modified allowable growth for limited English proficiency.
Any questions on that? Motion to approve modified allowable growth for limited English proficiency.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Lynn,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Stingo.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve baseball field lighting upgrade quote.
Scott, is Scott still here?
You're up.
Would you come up, Scott, and give everybody a brief overview of how this all came about?
Sure.
Please.
So,
Come over here. We are live streaming.
Okay, so baseball field lighting project, this is something that's been going on since 2016. We did the football field lighting in 2016, we did the softball field lighting in 2017, and baseball was to follow shortly thereafter. Things happened, and now we are where we are. So we've been on Musco's radar as a school still needing a lighting project done, and they have a set of lights in Kennesaw, Georgia that was used for a renovation project, and those lights now need to come out. They were used for one season, less than 100 hours, and knowing that we were in need and having several employees that work for Musco that are alum of Mount Pleasant, they put us in contact, and that is why we're here tonight instead of this spring. We've got an opportunity to get basically $600,000 lights for $250,000. And so if we're ever going to do anything, back in 2016, and we were decently lit on the baseball field, and we did one again this summer.
So Scott, can I just mention, I think as a safety issue, it's important to talk about. The recommendation, the recommended lighting levels on an infield, as per the Iowa High School Athletic Association, is 50 on the infield, and it's 30 in the outfield. So these are the 2016 levels. So, right about that 50 and 30. So here we are now 9 years later, And these are the numbers for the infield. These are supposed to be 50 or greater. You can see you do not want to be playing second base at Home Stadium.
Or catch.
Yeah, or, yeah, right. And you don't want to be in the outfield either, because it's supposed to be 30, and we don't even hit for, I guess the closest we come is 29 right here in right center. So it really is a safety issue for our athletes. That's why we were going to present this project to you as a buildings and grounds project like we do in the spring. But this opportunity presented itself. So I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Is there?
Tell us what we're getting for $200,000.
So basically, these lights are well above what we would need, and the infield lighting on these particular lights would be 70, and the outfield would be 50, because that's what they have available. If we would buy new for the 50-30 light levels, we would still be spending over $350,000. So we can't do this project really any other way for the price that we're doing. We can't, it can't happen. So I mean, this is truly a one-time opportunity for us. If we kick this down the road for a year, we're gonna start out $100,000 more than what we could spend today.
For less light.
For less lighting than what we will get. So it's because of, you know, a 95 graduate is the executive director of U.S. Sales. He's a Mount Pleasant alum. He's helping us out. The regional sales rep is also a Mount Pleasant alum, and it's those connections that are giving back to us. So I think it's kind of special that way. They gave us a great deal the first time through. They gave us an 18% discount on what we got for softball and football, just because they could. And now we're getting a very sizable discount, and truly just a great deal. So.
Plus, did you say coaches could complain or turn us in because of our lighting being so low?
Anybody could, and honestly, I don't know what we would say, especially now that we're live streaming, and we just put out how terrible our lighting is. I mean, it's no secret now. Everybody knows. So we are definitely below the light standard. So we have to do something.
When was the light study done?
It was done July, mid to late July.
This year?
Yes, yeah, this summer.
So if this opportunity didn't fall in our laps, what was your backup plan? You said this has been
To ask you in the spring to consider this?
You said it's been ongoing since 2016.
Correct.
So what other alternative do we have that we could do, or you can do? What I'm getting at is, you just heard we gotta cut 1.3 million. This is gonna cost 20% of that. And you said, and I don't want anybody to take me wrong on the safety part of it. If the lights have been degrading for the last 9 years, it's only a concern now. Is there other solutions out there, meaning, is there a designated time the games have to be played, or can they be moved up earlier? Or in the mornings on a weekend? I'm just challenging.
But let's make sure we're talking apples to apples. We're asking for funds out of the Pebble and Save, not the general fund. The funding cuts that we're talking about that are coming to us, our general fund reductions. We do, every year, we get the list of projects that they prioritize to spend the Pebble and Save money out of. Mr. Lamb was saying that he's been working on what would that project look like that would go on the list that we would approve or deny in the spring. And it finally, of all those things, last year it was concrete for the baseball to make, that was what you asked for last year for baseball. We did dugouts before that, so we've been knocking off projects as they come at us, but not the same funds, not general funds. We're not asking to spend $200,000 in general fund money to buy new lights.
I would echo all of that and also add that it's not that we haven't wanted to do this since then. Shortly after the football and softball lights were done was COVID, and then since then, it's always been something that we've talked about and something that has been needed to be done. The alternative, really, I don't know that there is one. By our conference bylaws, we do play night games for all of our conference dates, and right now, you know, baseball in particular, there really are no options. We play 10 o'clock games for our freshman level. We play some 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock JV level games, and then 5:30 games. And moving things in the summer to the day, we would have multiple days that we wouldn't be able to play in the summer heat, and we can't have 3 levels of play on our high school field. It's just not. It's not.
Can't we share a ball field with another school?
I suppose. I mean, we're going to transport our kids to Fairfield. You know, I mean, not really actually. I mean, Fairfield's not going to have room for us to play, nor would Winfield, New London. I mean, those are smaller schools that are playing JV varsity doubleheaders 4 nights a week. You know, I don't think there's any other option to run 3 levels of play. We have some of our best participation in baseball. We're 50 kids a year. I don't want to cut any levels. I don't want kids to not have that opportunity. It's one of our best programs. And I don't want to say it's because we don't have lights. I mean, to me that's kind of crazy. We wouldn't have a building and not have lights in it.
As someone who coached softball here in Mount Pleasant for 23 years, we played many years in the afternoon at 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock, heat of the day. And I know as parents really pushed to get lights when we first got lights. And that is the best thing that happened was when we went to lights. And I think your participation is up, your attendance is up. You play in the afternoon, parents don't get off of work. They can't get off work. Kids, their summer jobs is an issue. So I think it's a great opportunity.
I would add one other thing that is new. Scranton made me think back to things that have changed, but right now with the heat, we have limitations put on us, so there's a lot of games that could not happen during the day now, just because we have to take readings every day to determine whether or not we can practice, and so that would totally change what we would do during the day. To play those afternoon games is few and far between on the days that we can play those. So I don't see an option to continue doing what we're doing without playing anything at night. And I would also say that if we would go down that road and say, well, we're not going to play at night, so how long are we going to keep doing that? Because I don't see this being a good economic decision to say, well, 2 years from now, we'll go ahead and spend $400,000 instead of $250 today.
Right, I feel this was something that was going to come up relatively soon. You went through the timeline, you know, now is the time, especially with this opportunity. If it wouldn't be as a summer project with this opportunity, John, do you have the save balance.
Yeah, I
Because
wanna-
I think this
yep,
is important.
yep, I wanna show
to
a
make
couple
sure
of-
we're not talking about instruction dollars in the
Yep.
general fund.
I want to show that. I want to show something else as well. This is the quote from Musco for a total of $200,000. Mr. Lamb said 250. That would be. It's not even quite 200. Excuse me. It's not even quite $50,000 for any additional electrical. The framework for the electrical is done. It was done when we did the football field, so the boxes, connections, all of that is in. It just, would need to be wires pulled and such, and we have a quote for that, short of $50,000. The other thing that I wanted you to see here and to know, where did that go?
It's on a separate document. That was the original quote. With the one you got. Added to it.
Well, I have a document. Let me go, let me just, sorry to belabor this, but I want you to see it. I can get to it. Well, Scott, I did too. It's in your packet, isn't it? Maybe I didn't scan it. It is in your packet. So, field lighting, it looks like that Angie has there. Field lighting is part of the state of Iowa contract. So, the state of Iowa has already bid for minimum prices. Musco is part of the Department of Administrative Services state contract. So they have already negotiated the low prices for these. So a district could, you could competitively bid it if you wanted to, but the state has already done that work, and Musco, as part of that state contract, says, here's our minimum. This is what our minimum is for lighting. The state does that they do it for vehicles, they do it for computers, and they do it for athletic field lighting as well. And so I apologize for you folks out there that I neglected to scan this, but the one that you want to look at, up the very top box, baseball, softball, the very last line would represent our field, 90-foot base path, 330 feet down the left field and the right field line, and 410 feet to center field. Actually, we're a little bit bigger than that. But if you go over to the right, the 50 on the illumination, the price for that system is $528,994 is what we would pay for that at the state bid price. And we are, the proposal that you have in front of you tonight is $200,000 for that system.
I know it was mentioned, but I would also add that 25-year warranty, that is basically hands-free for us. We're on our 9th year on those football field lights with the same warranty. If something goes wrong, Musco sends Chad Banghouse, our director of maintenance, and myself an email that says, hey, you have a light out on pole 3. Chad walks out, opens the box, checks to see if it's a fuse. If it is, puts a new fuse in it that's already there, just puts a new one in and walks away. If that doesn't fix it, we call Musco, they come fix it. It has been that simple for 9 years. This would push this project off for another 25 years. Somebody's not going to have to worry about anything on lights out there for 25 years.
So Derek mentioned, and Angie mentioned as well, the difference between save dollars, which is our penny sales tax dollars, and the general fund, which we already talked about. Completely different funds. You cannot use save dollars or PEPAL dollars for the things that you use general fund dollars for. You can't pay for staffing, personnel, benefits, that cannot be paid for out of SAVE and PEPAL. Our September 30th SAVE balance was $2.813 million. Our September 30th PEPAL balance was $2.662 million. These two funds can be used in the same way. Physical plant and equipment, these kinds of things, transportation, these kinds of things. So the total balance between the two, just short of $5.5 million. So focusing on SAVE, the remaining obligations that we have in SAVE, we have $154,000 remaining on the contract with Wiley and Sons for the RTM. We have about $24,000 remaining for the HVAC upgrade at the Activity Center. About $6,000 left in the controls for that system at the Activity Center. We're not there yet, but the abatement that we've talked about at PEO, $47,575. The PEO demolition, as I told you on Thursday, that this would be a high estimate. Mr. McInerney estimates it's going to be around $371,000. That would be his estimate, so I have $425 as a high estimate. We need to replace the fire panel. This just recently came up in the high school. It's a high estimate as per Chad Minghouse, our director. The Van Allen roof seam repair needs done. We have a quote for that for $22,000. Lincoln roof seam repair, same thing. In those balances, we do have to account for the agriculture education grant dollars that are in that balance that you guys approved for the greenhouse high tunnel, $129,000, so we're accounting for that. And then we have $127,000 of unfinished approved projects that still need done. So that total, $979,089. The baseball field lighting, just short of $250,000. That's with the electrical, would total $1.229 million. If you subtract that from the SAVE, the 1.229 from that 2.813 in SAVE, you're left with almost $1.6 million in SAVE. And our fiscal year 26 SAVE estimate, revenue estimate, was $2.4 million.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Lamb?
Is that a solid bid, the $250,000?
Very solid, 244.5.
What we are asking to approve tonight is the $200,000 for the lights themselves for Musco. The timing on this also plays into that, as these are being removed this week from Georgia and need to be transported once in order to save total cost, transportation costs, which is why we're voting on this tonight and not approving it as part of next year's fiscal year projects.
I'll vote to approve.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Jessica, roll call?
Lentz,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinga.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve abatement of hazardous material quote.
So the low quote for the abatement of the PEO building was from Active Thermal Concepts out of Hiawatha, Iowa. $47,575. Board members, you've got their actual quote in your packet. It's about $20,000 less than was estimated
Terracon.
By Terracon, thank you. That was their estimate. Their low estimate was about $66,000, and so this is $20,000 left. Would recommend that you approve.
This abatement would have to be done no matter what. Any kind of construction that would be done to
Yeah,
them?
if you're going to upgrade and do renovation on that building, the abatement would have to happen. Now, honestly, Angie, I don't know about the roof and how that all plays into it, because a lot of this asbestos is in a layer of the roof.
Is there a motion to approve or any other
So
questions?
moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Justin, any other discussion? Sorry. Roll call.
Lynn,
Yes?
Mullen,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
No.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinga.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve the second reading of Board Series 300 Administration. We're going to read through all of them.
The only
Wondering if
change,
anybody's still awake.
yeah, the only change in the language that you reviewed in the first reading is in 303.6 Administrator Evaluation. It did have the language May 15th in it, and what I did, as you requested, it's the responsibility of the superintendent to conduct a formal evaluation of the probationary administrators and non-probationary administrators as per the Code of Iowa. Instead of May 15th, it's as per the Code of Iowa. Would recommend that you approve the 300 series.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Lynn,
Yes?
Mullen,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinga.
Yes.
Next, we have a consideration to approve fundraisers that weren't on our previous list.
So I'm happy to go over them. We did look at these in the policy committee. Salem would like to do what's called a penny war as a fundraiser for improvements around the building. The 9th and 10th grade, IJAG is doing a Pizza Ranch tip night. This coming in October here. And then the junior class, they're all in your packet, would like to do in supporting the Old Threshers Haunted Rails. They would receive $250 for each weekend that they go out and assist with haunted rails. So unless you have questions, I would recommend that you approve.
Motion to approve fundraisers.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Lynn,
Yes?
Mullen,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinga.
Yes. I met the students that, when they showed up for work.
Oh, great.
Costumes, yes.
Fantastic. Angie, before we move, I'd like to make one more comment. I heard John today announce it on the radio, but I saw that the Sheriff's Department of Henry County raised from their golf tournament and contributed money to all the elementary schools in Mount Pleasant, New London, and Wayland. And I just wanted to be a matter of board record that we thank them for what they did and the contribution they made to the elementary schools and specifically the Mount Pleasant schools.
That's right. Yeah.
I see 3 principals smiling.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for mentioning that.
All right, next we need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21.5(1)A to review or discuss records which are required or authorized by the state and federal law to be kept confidential. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Lynn,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton.
Yes.
Maher.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
That means you have to be a yes, Tyler.
Thank you. See you ladies Wednesday. Okay, Pizza Ranch. Okay. We'll see ya. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you can stop streaming.
I better stop.